Yes. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much. It's always such a delight to be at Aspire for Her because I really believe that what Aspire for Her is doing is actually going to add a lot of value to so many of us. I'm actually going to speak about confidence today. And I know that all of us need a lot of confidence when we enter into rooms that sometimes make us feel very nervous. And interviews is one. There are several others, meetings, conferences, presentations when we have to give. But what I'm going to do is I don't have a PPT. I dislike PPTs from the core of my heart. I'd rather you listen to me, right? I'm going to share several stories, but I'm also going to share very easy tips that you can apply right away. So when you go for an interview over the next 1 month, 2 months, there are a few things that you can do that will immediately make you look and feel more confident, particularly those of you who've been on a break. I've been on a break, so I know what it is like. I also know that there's a lot of competition. I also know that there are very few companies that actually understand that breaks are normal and it's perfectly okay. It's a part of our lives. And there are also people within companies also. Sometimes you run into people during an interview who may or may not take to a break with empathy and kindness, right? So I'm going to tell you how to deal with all of this when you walk into a room to give an interview. So my name is Deepika Singh. I have a brand called She Means Business. And you can find me on YouTube. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on Instagram. I keep sharing a lot of these tips. It's a good idea to, sort of subscribe to my YouTube channel and keep learning from there. I'm going to share with you 5 or 6 things, right? The first thing that I'm going to share with you today is that body language. It really, the most important thing I think is body language. And I'll tell you why body language is very important. Because unless and until you work on your correct body language, when you're in a situation that is making you feel slightly nervous, your body will fall into what it usually does. So, if you hunch when you're nervous, or if you mumble when you're nervous, or if you look stressed, however much you might tell yourself during an interview, I'm going to look very confident, it's not going to happen unless and until you practice body language and it becomes second nature. So that even if you're dying of nervousness inside, your body doesn't die of nervousness. Your body looks straight and tall and confident. So that's the first thing I want to tell you. And I want you to go and watch a particular TED talk. It's by Amy Cuddy, Amycuddy, Amy Cuddy. It's a very popular TED talk, and I want you to watch it. During the course of this session, I will give you various resources that you should definitely go and look up, because these are resources that will actually make you feel very confident. You learn a lot from them as well. So Amy Cuddy has a TED talk. She's also written a book called Presence for Women, where she talks about power poses, and she says that every time before any important situation, if you have to give a presentation or if you have to, give an interview, take a 5-second pause. And trust me, I do this. I work as a learning facilitator, and I walk into rooms every week. I walk into rooms where, I don't know the people, and they're sometimes mid-management and sometimes senior management, and I have to walk into the room and I have to train them and I have to teach them. And many times, some people will look at me like, ab ye kya hai, ab ye kyun hai, why are we doing this workshop? You know what it is like in corporates. Every time there's a training announced, people are like, kyun, kya hai, why do we have to attend this training? I have to walk into those rooms and I have to convince people to listen to me. Like, I'm hoping all of you are listening to me right now, right? That requires a lot of confidence. And aisa nahi hai ki every time I feel very confident, I don't. Because, sometimes it's mid-management, senior management, I don't feel confident. But I've ensured that when I walk into the room, I just look confident. It's a practice. So every time before I open the door and I walk into the room, and which is exactly what you should do during an interview as well, before you open the door and walk in, while you're in the waiting area or just before, when you're walking towards the interview, just straighten your shoulders, tuck your stomach in, put a smile on your face, stand tall and stand straight. It will remarkably change your mindset. It will just change the way you feel. And that's exactly what Amy Cuddy talks about, in a TED talk. She says, and it's proven, the minute you straighten up, even right now, you'll just feel, if you straighten up and if you have your hands in front of you, if you smile, you'll just feel more confident. Your body will be straighter and taller, and you'll just feel more confident. So you need to start working on your body language. When we sit down during the interview, the way we enter. Sometimes, I wish we were doing this physically. I would have told you how wrongly people enter into rooms. Ye darwaza hai. Slowly you'll open the door. Sometimes you'll just look in like that, and then quietly you sneak into the room. Why? Why? It is not an interrogation. You're not going for an interrogation. You're going for an interview. They are evaluating you. You are evaluating them. It has to be a happy occasion, right? So enter smartly, enter strongly, stand straight, stand tall, smile, go in, shake hands and sit down. Don't sit on the edge of the seat. Don't sink into the seat. Sit straight and tall. So, the small of your back should touch the back of the chair. Don't sit back. Don't lean forward. Sit straight. Keep your hands in front of you. Your hands should be visible. Keep your hands in front of you, on the table in front of you. While you're talking, use your hands. Don't flail them about too much, but use your hands, right? So practice good body language till it becomes second nature. How you enter into the room confidently will say a lot about you. Those first 5 or 6 seconds when people see you walking into the room says a lot about the attitude, says a lot about how you'll be able to handle it, particularly if you're coming after a break. It's amazing how much your body language tells people. So work on your body language so that when you're nervous, you don't automatically go back into looking nervous. You don't fall back into your natural body state. So work on it. Always be tall, straight, and smiling, and take a deep breath before you start speaking. So that's really my first tip for you. Practice your body language so that you look very confident. The second thing I want to say is treat the interview like a conversation. It's a conversation. It is not an interrogation. You are not going to wait for the questions and then you will reply with what you have thought of as far as the answers are concerned. It's a conversation. Here are 1, 2, or 3 people that you've met, and you are here to have a good conversation with them about yourself, about the company, about the role. The minute we change our mindset that this is a conversation and we'll see how it happens, at best, I will not get this job, but I want to enjoy this conversation and go back after learning something. So there is a book called Works Well with Others. It's about a man who used to be the editor of a small airline magazine. I think it was Southwest Airlines. He was the editor of that magazine. And one day he got a call from New York Times for the editor's position. And he was like, oops, New York Times is a very, very big publication. Why will I get the job? But let me go, let me see. So I think the chairman of the publication or somebody was going to meet him. And he was very nervous because he said, it's a great opportunity, but I don't think I'm going to get it. But let's see, let me go and see. So he went for the interview and he spoke to the chairman. They had a good time. Works Well with Others. Yes, that's the book. Works Well with Others. He had a good time. Then the chairman said, because it was a very big position, so he wanted to spend some more time with the candidate. And so he said, opposite me, there's a restaurant. Let's go down for lunch. They went for lunch. They spoke during lunch also. Imagine the length of the interview. Oh my God. Then they came back and they continued to speak in the chairman's office. In the evening, this guy, the candidate, had a flight. So he said, okay, I have to take your leave now. But I have to, of course, and then when he was leaving after saying goodbye, at the door, he turned around and, because it struck him that I spent a day with this guy. I came for an interview, but I've spent a day with my interviewer. So he turned around and he said, you know what? I don't care if I get the job or not. I really had a good time talking to you today, and he got the job, because clearly the interview had turned into a conversation. It was a conversation on newspapers, publications, life in general, and that is what people look for. Really, that is what people look for. So while, yes, you will have certain questions on functional skills and domain skills, obviously, but the rest of the time, treat the interview like a conversation. Have questions of your own and don't feel pressured. Don't feel pressured. It's like you're just meeting someone and you want to have a great conversation. It could be a networking event, it could be just someone you're meeting online. Just have a conversation. The minute you will change that mindset, you will walk into an interview thinking that, I just want to have a good time. I want to give it my best. I want to talk about everything I know. The minute you change your mindset, you will not feel like it's an interrogation, and you will actually feel like you're having a good conversation. It's very important to do that. In fact, in life, when you're networking, or when you're interviewing, or whenever you meet someone, always focus on having great conversations. And when we do sales trainings, I always tell people in sales teams and people in sales also that don't go to a client and say, okay, this is my product, please buy it. Have a good conversation. If the client likes you, if you gel, if there is a connection, the client will call you back. The client will ultimately buy, because it's always about people. It's never about competitive product. There's so many competitive products. Why will somebody buy your product? Not because your product is 1 rupee lesser. Because in a B2B case, for example, because the client likes you. It's a relationship that you build. So focus on good conversations, focus on relationships. If you can do it, very good. If you can't, just think about how you can change your mindset, but treat it like a conversation. That's my second tip for you. It'll make you feel very confident. You're not going there as one meek person who has to be selected. You have a choice also. You are also evaluating them, so it's very important. I'll come to the comments later. I can see a lot of comments. The third thing I want to say is knowledge. I won't say preparation, I will say knowledge. And knowledge is a very broad term. So I want to break it up. And I want to talk about several things within that. The first, of course, I want to talk about is your preparation for the interview. I mean, it's a given. Don't even think that you will walk into an interview not being prepared. And when I say preparation, there are several things that you prepare, right? You prepare for the role that you're walking in for. And a good way to do that is to look at the JD. You've obviously looked. So every role will have a JD that has been floated, the job description. Really study the job description to see, what they have written, because job JDs are made with a lot of care and a lot of time is spent on a JD. It goes back and forth between HR and business. They make the JD bahut soch ke. Really look at the JD, and within the JD you will find, what is it that they're looking for. The minute you find a match between your skills and something that is there on the JD, bring it up during the interview. I'll give you an example. If the JD says that you need to be good at Excel, and you're really good at Excel, right? You're really, very few people are. So if the JD demands you're good at Excel, or the JD demands that you should be good with cold calling for some reason, right? Cold calling, if it's a business development role, and it's a skill you have, then now okay, I have the skills that this role demands, right? It gives you a lot of confidence, first of all, because now you're not going into something and you don't even know what they're looking for. You know now what they're looking for, and you also know you have a couple of those skills. Bring it up. Bring it up during the interview. So, and bring it up blatantly. You don't have to beat about the bush and say some kahani or something. Bring it up clearly. So say that, I read in the JD that you're looking at someone with, who has good Excel skills or who has good cold calling skills. And I wanted to assure you that this is something that I'm really good at. Back it up with a story. Back it up with an incident or a story so that it looks a very believable skill and not just something you're saying because you want the job, right? So this is a 3-step process when you're preparing. Really study the JD. Look at the skills that they require. If there are one or two things that you're really good at, which they require, bring it up during the interview. It'll give you a lot of confidence, and it'll also make the conversation go in the direction that you want it to go to, right? So instead of waiting for them to ask you questions, say to yourself that, in the JD, I noticed that you're looking for someone who, even if in the 7 things that they want, there is one thing that you are really good at and it's mentioned in the JD, bring it up yourself. Don't wait for them to ask you strengths and skills and all of that. Say that, I noticed in the JD, you've mentioned you're looking for someone with great cold calling skills. I just wanted to tell you that in my previous organization, I was the one with the best rate of ensuring that cold calls are picked up and I get a meeting. So, bring that skill up, because what will happen is they have made the JD. This is what they're looking for. The minute you bring up something in the JD, it will be like, okay, yes, this is what we're looking for. And now they'll ask you questions about that skill. Chances are, because you've led the conversation there, so you have now highlighted a skill that you have, which is there in the JD, and you've taken the interview there. So these are the things that you do to feel confident and also to handle the interview confidently, right? So that's one bit of preparation. The second bit is know as much as possible about the company, so read up about the company, go see their latest ads. Don't walk into a dark room and then try and figure that room out. You should really know about that company. How is that company doing? Is there some new funding that the company has? So best is to go and look at their LinkedIn page. Most companies have a LinkedIn page. Go look at that LinkedIn page and see their latest posts. Again, it gives you fodder for conversation. It also gives you little interesting tips that you can bring up, things that you can bring up during the interview. Also, preparation and knowing about the company really makes you feel confident. Like I said, you don't feel like you're entering into a dark room. So prepare as much as possible about the company as well. The third preparation that I want you to do is check out the person that you're meeting. Most times, you know the name of the person, right? The consultant or even the HR person or whatever will tell you you're meeting so and so, who's our business head. If they don't tell you, please ask, whom am I meeting? Don't just land. It's perfectly okay to ask. Most people will tell you you're meeting so and so, who's the business head or whatever, right? Now go and check out this person's LinkedIn profile. Again, knowing something, is confidence. When we don't know something, when we're entering into something very blindly, then we don't feel confident because we don't know what we're entering into. The minute you know the name of the person, please go check that person's profile out on LinkedIn. See whether they are writing anything. See what is the kind of tone. Do they look like a person who's funny? Do they look like a person who's very knowledgeable? Do they write a lot about the industry? Do they comment a lot? So, try and figure out. Some people have very active LinkedIn profiles, some people don't. It would be great to, check out the LinkedIn profile and study about that person, so that when you're meeting this person, there is a picture in your head and that makes you feel very confident, right? So do that as much as possible wherever you can find information on the person. Don't stalk the person, please. But at least, some bit of knowledge and some bit of information about that person will really, really help. So that's preparation. That's again another part of knowledge. And now I come to the most important bit of knowledge. Is be a constant learner. You know, many women, and I say this without any bias, and I say this in spite of being a woman, we stop investing in ourselves as far as learning is concerned. And we also think learning ke liye time nahi hai, because there's so much on our plate. We feel that I really don't have the time to learn anything new. Also, when I say learn, I don't mean courses, not just courses. Learning comes from small things that you do every day. So learning comes from meeting new people. Learning comes from interacting with people on LinkedIn. Learning comes from listening to a podcast when you go for a walk. Learning comes from following people who have important things to say. It could be a newsletter that you read. Only one newsletter is more than enough. or it could be following someone on LinkedIn, or it could be following someone on YouTube, someone's podcast, so learning has to be constant. And you can't say I will devote half an hour to reading, or I will devote half an hour to, it has to be weaved into your life. Only then will you be a constant learner. And constant learning, ladies, I cannot even tell you how important it is. It is important for you. It is not just important for an interview. It is important for you as a person and as a professional to constantly invest in yourself. Even when you're 50, you're 55, you should be able to speak intelligently about things that are happening around you. We just stop being aware of new things. Kya hai? Acha, I don't know what is happening in digital marketing anymore. What are all these new things that are happening? Why should you not know? So I think the baseline or the most important thing with learning is curiosity. If you just stay curious all your life, if you just keep asking questions, if you just keep asking, I would really not even recommend a book for conversations. I would just say, stay curious. It will lead to good conversations. Stay curious, load up on knowledge as much as possible so that you should be able to speak about anything, kuch bhi, you should be able to confidently speak about that. And if you don't know something, say, I don't know. Just say, I don't know. It's perfectly okay to say you don't know. Half the reason why we don't feel confident is we are so scared if we don't know the answer to something, or if we forget what we have to say. It's perfectly okay. It's human nature. If you don't know something, say, I don't know, but I will get back to you on this. In fact, say, okay, this sounds like a really important point. I missed out on this. I must go back and look this up. Be as authentic as possible. Do not take the pressure of small things like forgetting something or not knowing something. It's okay. It's how you handle that situation at that point. You should have the confidence to handle it. You should just have the confidence to say, I don't know. You should have the confidence to say that, okay, I did not know this, but let me go look this up. You should have the confidence to say, I forgot. I really knew this, but I forgot. It's perfectly okay. Again, like I said, it is not an interrogation. Most of the times it is a, of course, your functional skills are important, but it's also how you are as a person, right? So constant learning, just weave that into your life. Just even if it's a chapter of a book you read, or a podcast you listen to, or speaking to a new person on LinkedIn or whatever, just keep learning new things and stay curious. Yeah. The fourth thing, or the fifth thing, I've forgotten how many things. I have lots of things to say. We'll just stop when it is time to stop. The next thing I want to say is that this is something no one will tell you. No one will tell you this. But I want to tell you that one of the most impactful things we have and we own and we can use for confidence is our voice. We don't even think about this, but your voice is a very powerful tool. And confident people and impactful people know how to use it. When I say voice, I mean how you modulate your voice, your volume, where you put emphasis, how much you pause, where you pause, how you modulate your voice. All of that is extremely, extremely important. Sometimes when you go into a situation where we're not feeling confident, our voice will be too low or too high and squeaky, or if we don't know the answer to something, our voice will change. Our voice, if you learn to control your voice, you have a lot of power, because I've realized that more than so obviously it's very important to be well put together. It gives you a lot of confidence. Let me tell you, when you go for an interview, ensure, and I'll give you a tip, never wear, this is the tip I give to all participants on every workshop, never wear anything brand new. You've bought a great pair of trousers or a lovely new dress or a new skirt, please don't wear it for an interview, because you don't know that garment. Midway during the interview, suddenly if you feel, "Arey, yahan se tight hai," all your attention will go there. Our focus completely shifts, because now you're feeling uncomfortable about something and it's taking away from your confidence. So never wear anything new. Wear something that you feel comfortable in, and you look good in, and you look really sharp in. Wear that. So that's important, very important. But even more important, I think, how you confidently communicate is your voice. Yes, I always say this in every session, in every video that I create, I say this. Any important occasion, wear a garment that you know and pull it out the night before. Don't wake up that day and think about what I'm going to wear, because you don't want to, spend your brain. We have limited decision making capacity. Our brain gets tired very fast. You're going for an interview. You don't want to wake up in the morning and think about what you're going to wear. Oh, I have an interview today. What am I going to wear? Plan it the night before. These little things, just get it out of the way. That day only think about and stay fresh for the interview. But I want to come back to the voice. Really work on your voice. And today, there are so many places that you can join. Toastmasters, for example, every city has Toastmasters you can join. And, they have these group meetings where you can speak on topics, etc. You can do this within your own, find networking groups where you can do this. I'm a part of several networking groups where we have a lot of sessions where each of us speaks on our topic, on a topic of choice. So we do, like, if I am a coach who speaks on, presence or confidence, I will do sessions for the other coaches. Somebody could be talking about wellness, somebody could be talking about something else, but it's constant practice. So join groups or join, a place where you can, or just do it on your own. Just do it on your own. Do a secret podcast. I always give, when I coach people individually, I tell them to do a secret podcast. I say, you're not going to be putting this podcast up anywhere, but can you every week speak on something, and you record it, and you listen to yourself. How powerful are you sounding? Can you be better? Can you speak slightly slowly? Because sometimes when we're very nervous, we speak very fast. We want to just get it out of the way. Let me finish with this. I need to get out. But speaking slowly has so much power. So much power. Learning to pause, learning to create drama. All of this will give you confidence. So record yourself, and every time you can either tell a story, or you can just do a recap of the week or whatever. Do your own podcast on an interesting, subject. Who knows? You may just become a podcaster one day. But do that and listen back to your voice, and and see where you're making mistakes. Can you be better? It's I always tell people that recording yourself is the best way to see. When that recording is not going to be put up anywhere, it's the best way to evaluate yourself, and it's the best way to see, what changes and what improvements you can make, so that you just sound really, good. So that's another tip that I want to give you for confidence. My final tip is the most important tip, and this is for women who've been on a break. Many of you, I think, would have been on a break. It's a tip actually that applies to everyone, but more so for women on a break. I want you to use storytelling in the interviews, right? What do I mean by storytelling? Storytelling is to explain an incident or to explain an achievement. You use a story, right? I'll give you an example, right? And I'll give you several examples. When I go for a workshop, every time I go for a workshop and I have to introduce myself, this is the introduction I give. Okay, now I'll give you two options. Tell me which one is better, right? So option number one is, hi, I'm Deepika Singh. I am a learning facilitator and a motivational speaker. I have been doing this for the last 8 years now, and most of my subjects are executive presence, anything that can help you create more impact in your personal and professional life. Today, we're going to be talking about confidence and communication, and how you can communicate better and with more confidence every time you have an important situation. I can't wait to start. So let's begin. Option number two. Hi, this is Deepika Singh. I'm a learning facilitator and a motivational speaker. I speak about confidence and communication. I've been in marketing pretty much all my life, which is where I picked up a lot of nuances of communication. In 2012, I was working with Kingfisher Airlines, and when that folded up, I realized that I did not really want to make a CV and go look for another job. I wanted to do something of my own. I didn't really know what that of my own was, but I love talking to people and I love teaching people. And I also love learning new things. So I thought, can I combine all of this? What is it that I can do? And that's when I started creating content for workshops around communication skills, because that's what I'm good at. And I would love to teach that to people. So that's what I do now. I teach people presence and I teach people good communication skills. And I tell people how they can create more impact in their personal and professional life. Which introduction was better? Who wants to tell me? Yes. Yes.
Second one was better, ma'am. This is Pallavi.
Yes. Why was the second one better? Can just someone drop it in the chat box? Why was the second one better? Why was the second one better? More details. Yes.
You're not only telling your views, you're adding the values to the views.
Yes. I'm also telling a story. Yes, absolutely. It has a story. Everything in the second one, the way the smile, a little bit of a background story, more details, because I'm confident to speak. And I'll tell you why the second one is more important. First, my body language and my confidence, because I'm telling my own story, a story that I love, because this is who I am, So that everything about the way I say it is much more brighter, much more confident. Second, I'm telling a story. People remember stories. People just remember stories. So everybody will remember the whole Kingfisher bit. There are so many trainers and there's so many experiential, learning facilitators. But I'm the girl who, when I left Kingfisher, I did not want to make a CV. I wanted to try something of my own. That people remember, So tell stories. Tell stories about, why you took a break. Your break is your biggest story. If you think that a break is something to feel guilty about, it is not. It's how you tell that story of your break, why you took the break, what happened during the break, why you're ready to come back. Instead of just saying that, oh, I had to take a break because so reason, but now I'm ready to come back. Make it a story. Similarly, when somebody asks you about an achievement that you have, tell a story. Don't say I am, I got the highest revenue in for the company on in quarter 1 and whatever. No, tell them a story. Tell them how you did it and what they'll remember the story. And stories captivate people, right? So knowing your life's stories and knowing how to tell that story interestingly is the most important thing. I'll give you one more example, right? So in 2003, I took a break from work, right? And suppose the interviewer says, oh, you were on a break for 1.5 years. Why was that? Option number one. My husband had a new job and he had to move to Kolkata. And, I wanted to move with him because we were recently married. So I moved to Calcutta, but I couldn't find another job. I was in advertising at that point and I really looked very hard. But for some reason, I couldn't find a job. So while I was looking, I started working with a not-for-profit organization. I really liked that place. They used to give me a little bit of a salary also, but you know what it's like. NGOs really don't have too much money to offer. So I worked there for about 1.5 years, and then my husband had to move back now to Delhi, and now I'm also here, and now I'm ready to start looking for another job. So which is why I am here. Option two. Well, my husband had a new job and he wanted to move to Kolkata, and I obviously wanted to move with him because newly married, and also optimism of youth. I thought I'll go to Calcutta and I'll find a job. I mean, that's how youth is. I kept looking, but I couldn't find a job. There is this one store in Kolkata, which I really liked. I had walked into the store and I really liked it. It was a not-for-profit organization, and they work with craftsmen in the East to help them export their product. And all the excess product comes into the store. I really liked the store, beautiful product. So I went up to the co-founder. The office was 2 streets away. And I said, can I work with you? She said, yes, we're a not-for-profit organization. All hands are welcome. I'll also give you a little bit of a salary. So I started working at Sasha and I loved it. That store, she put me in charge of the store and I learned so much. For example, I learned sales. I'm a person in advertising. I understand marketing, but I've never done sales. I started to appreciate how sales happens because I was talking to the customers at Sasha. For example, there was a German guy who came and he wanted Kantha wall hangings. Kantha is a sort of embroidery. We did not have wall hangings, but we had Kantha stoles. So I told him, why don't you buy these stoles? You need Kantha to put on your walls. Just frame these. Who knows they are stoles? He was very happy. He bought 6 stoles. I was very happy because I sold 6 stoles. So I really learned sales. And now I think, now that I'm back in Delhi, I feel that I have learned so much about sales and I can actually apply it to advertising and marketing. So that money I earned almost seems like a bonus. It was not too much, but it seems like a bonus that I learned that I got at Sasha because I learned so much and I'm ready to apply that now. I'm back in Delhi and now ready to get back into the workforce. Again, story. Look at this. I did not work for a corporate in Calcutta. And this is a true story. You'll go to my YouTube channel, you'll find several videos, around this. It's a true story. I honestly really enjoyed my stint at Sasha, but it could have been a break that I had to take because my husband moved. I couldn't find a job. I had to work with an NGO. I didn't have enough money, but I turned it into the best part about my professional journey. And that's how I tell the story of Sasha. When I came back to Delhi after my Kolkata stay, I had retail outlets lining up to hire me because I had worked with Sasha and I was able to show them everything that I had done. So your stories, your life's stories and your professional stories, you should know. So go back and before you go into interviews now, think about all the stories in your life. Obviously, don't just keep telling stories during the interview, but think of 1 or 2 key stories that tell people about who you are, what your strengths are, what your skills are, what makes you you, why you took a break. So if you can find 1 or 2 interesting stories, please use those stories during the interview because it makes you look like someone who's very happy with your life. When you tell stories, it makes you memorable, because people remember the story. They'll forget the facts, they'll forget the numbers, but they will remember. They will meet 10 people for one role. Who are they going to remember? You should be that one person who stands out. And all of this, your body language, the stories that you tell, the voice that you use, all of this, how well put together you are, how much of how much you're enjoying the interview and not treating it like an interrogation. All of this will actually add up to not only make you look and feel confident, but also become a very, very memorable person during the interview. So in those 10, 15 people, you will actually stand out. So that is what I would say to you. I'll leave you with one last tip, which a lot of people ask me about: eye contact and smiling. Be your natural self. And with eye contact, I'll give you a tip. First of all, if there are more than one people and you're feeling nervous, there will always be one person who's slightly more friendlier than the other people. He'll smile, she'll smile, nod. Make that person your focus. Don't just speak to that person, but draw energy and draw confidence from that person. So every time you feel a little lost, go back and look at that person. You will always find one friendly face. Of course, eye contact is good. Don't make constant eye contact, but look in the general direction. I tend to look at the nose and sometimes at the lips of the person I'm speaking to, but always look in the general direction. Don't look here and there and look nervous and don't know what to do, right? Most of all, train your body, in such a way that even if you're feeling nervous, you just look confident. It's just a matter of practice. It is just a matter of training. Put me in front of anybody now. And I'm not bragging. Put me in front of the world's leading CEO. I can have a conversation with that person. I can have a conversation and I can look confident and I can have a conversation with that person about possibly their industry, because I load up on information and I load up on, knowledge, and I read a lot. Very important to do that. But please practice good body language. See the TED Talk by Amy Cuddy. If you can find her book called Presence, please read that. One last resource I will give you. There is a YouTube channel called Charisma on Command. Go look it up. Charisma on Command. It'll tell you small things about, behavioral skills, body language, smiling, confidence. It's a beautiful channel to learn from. Really beautiful channel to learn from. It's called Charisma on Command. And lastly, don't forget to follow me on YouTube. My channel is called She Means Business, or on Instagram, She Means Business _Deepika Singh. Very happy to take questions now. There's a lot of thing in the chat. Can someone help me with this? Very happy to take as many questions as possible.
Hello.
Yes.
Hi. May I speak?
Who's this? Vindhya. Right. Yeah.
Hello. Hello.
Yes. I'm just changing my view now. I can see everybody. Yes.
Hi, this is Namita Shanbag.
Okay. Hi.
Deepika, I've been following your channel for quite some time, and I thoroughly love your channel.
Okay. Thank you.
It's a pleasure that I can, interact with you today in person.
Thank you so much.
And talking about confidence, okay, until today, I would never switch on the camera for any of these sessions, okay? Today is the first time I've switched on the camera and I realized the importance of light placement.
Yes.
Because the sunlight is in front of me. And, in the evenings, normally when these sessions are held, the light is behind me. So it puts a dark hue over my face. So that's point number one. Thanks a ton for that. Secondly, I love the color that you're wearing. It, coincides with the flowers in the background.
Yes.
So I think I've also learned the importance of wearing the right colors, especially for, sessions like these.
I have put up a video about this on my channel as well.
Okay.
I will tell you a little bit more after this. Yeah.
Sure. And my question right now is, you said, treat the interview like a conversation. But I come from a banking background where the interview is never treated like a conversation. It's more like a CBI interrogation. How do you, work your way around this? Because there is zero eye contact. The interview is too busy to taking down notes. And, you'll be called for an interview, say at 10:30, 11, the interview will happen at 1 o'clock. And so in between, you're just waiting. You're not at times allowed to access the toilets. Also, you're hungry. So what do you do in situations like these? Because, yeah.
For me, that time, I'll tell you very, very honest answer to this. For me, any time that I get like this now, instead of fretting about it, because either I can fret about the time that is lost, or I can do something productive with that time. For me, it is always, I'm telling you, it is always podcast time. And I have learned so much. But what else can I do? I will just sit there and fret. If this happens, and it happens with me also. I go for meetings and I'm meeting some very senior person, and this person will make me wait for 45 minutes. No respect and no regard at all. But what can you do? So I feel that this is such a bonus. Abhi, I could have been running around somewhere else. Because also, for investing in yourself, a lot of us don't get the time. How much can you also read? For me, and this I've learned from my husband, I'll be very honest. He has 5 minutes also. Now he'll be found reading something, some business report, something else. It's the only way to load up on information. So instead of fretting, invest in yourself, right? So instead of saying, "Acha, time need," and read up something, it will firstly make you feel very productive. Even before you go for the interview, it'll make you feel very productive. Any podcast you want to listen to, any YouTube channel you want to watch, I forever have my AirPods with me, and I forever have, I'm forever listening. So that's one thing. Use your time extremely productively. Don't fret about it at all. Use it to invest in yourself, right? Spend time on LinkedIn. During that time, connect with people on LinkedIn, read interesting things, clean up your LinkedIn feed. I would do that, The second thing, so use it productively. Don't fret about it. The second thing, I completely understand when you say that people are taking notes. Mostly, it really depends on the person. I find HR taking notes. HR will constantly be. So within those 2 or 3 rounds of interviews, you have to be very clear who's the stakeholder, what is the importance of this stakeholder, how each stakeholder also needs to be treated very, very differently. So HR will want very, very different perspectives and very, very different. They are very interested in your availability, in your past skills. They are very play by the book. They will play by the book, right? They're interested in the salary that you were drawing, how many years of break did you have, plana, plan, plan. When you meet the business head or whoever is going to be your boss, that is where you have a chance of having a more of a conversation, right? And that you can lead. You can actually lead that. And it begins from the very first way. It's a package, like I said. When you enter, most people will ask you, so tell me about yourself and who are you? Or there's some random questions. It's a way of just slipping into the interview, easing into the interview. You have a chance then, your tone. If you're going to sit there and just answer that question, it's already an interrogation, right? Your body language and the way you answer, it is all, you have given in to the interrogation. But if you if you give a story, or if you give something interesting, you have changed the, you have tried at least to change the course of that interview, right? So you have now said that I'm a confident person, and this is what I want to talk about. Try and make the person look up. So first know which is the stakeholder you're meeting. If they've called 40 people, it is a first level interview. There you will only focus on ensuring that, all the right things you say, all the right things you talk about, because, JD mein kya hai, you should match that, because it's a process. They're only interested in that. It's when you start reaching the second, when you're meeting the business head, then that stakeholder is very different. That person has to work with you. That person has to ensure that you match up to the team. You fit into the team that the person already has, right? That's where you have more play as far as the interview is concerned. So know your stakeholder, which is the stakeholder you're meeting. Tick all the right boxes, but you try and take the interview into a place where the person actually looks up and smiles. It will really change the course of the interview. That is the advice I would give.
Okay, thanks so much. And I would like to say something. If the person from AFH is part of this session, please do a session with you where you talk about, how to handle online interviews, what clothes to wear, what lipsticks to wear, because all of this makes a very, very effect.
Very. I'll give you 2 or 3 quick tips. The colors, so I have made a video, you really should know the colors. So I always say that, all colors suit everybody. Let's be all nice about it. But there are always certain colors that suit you more. And by the time you hit 30 or even 25, you know what those colors are. I know that I stand out in pink, and I know that now my saris have become a part of my brand. If I wasn't traveling, I have a flight to catch. If I wasn't traveling, I would have been in a sari for my, session. So I have figured out what suits me. I have figured out what works for me. And I figured out what I feel most comfortable in. And I call it my uniforms. A cotton sari is my uniform. Pink formal dresses are my uniforms. I don't wear very small earrings. I always wear slightly big earrings because, that's all you can see me. So what can I do to ensure that I look nice and bright and happy? So one thing is that my lens, if you see, my laptop is always slightly raised, and the lens is right in front of my eyes. So it looks like I'm actually sitting in front of someone, I always keep it at a distance so that it feels, so it's actually at the edge of my desk. I feel that I'm actually speaking. The other person also feels like they're actually sitting in front of me and speaking, right? All of you will feel that way. More than your face should show. So at least till your bust, your chest should show, your hands should be visible, try and clean up your background. Otherwise, use a virtual background. It's perfectly okay. I don't like virtual background so much. For an interview, I would not use it because sometimes your hair gets cut or something gets cut and all, it just looks very weird, So if you can find a clean space, it's perfectly okay, So this much should at least show. Keep the the laptop screen absolutely straight, lens in front of you, little bit of your hands should be visible, and it should feel like you're sitting in front of people and speaking. Keep your shoulders straight. Don't hunch and all. Don't go straight into the screen like that. Don't keep the screen niche. The minute you keep the laptop like this, see what happens. It is the worst thing possible, So you have to keep the laptop straight in front of you. Quick tips.
Thank you so much, Deepika, for your time. It was a pleasure interacting with you in person today.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Can you give me a second? 1 second. Just 1 second. I'll just be back here. 1 second.
Hey everyone, who's going next? Okay, Hema.
Hello,
Yes. More questions? I can see lots of hands.
ma'am. I'm Hema. I'm from Kerala.
Okay.
Been following your YouTube channel since like 2 years,
Oh,
and I
thank you so much.
read for the story of Sasha,
Yes.
and I used to wonder like if this happened with me. I wanted a similar story for myself.
You'll
you
find
know.
a story. You'll find a story in your break.
So the thing is, I wanted to ask you a question because I am like constantly criticized for the kind of tone that I use for my voice. It's slightly raised, maybe sounds a bit more confident because I'm straight to the point. I never beat about the bush. And the thing is, sorry, I don't have enough people to talk to.
Hmm.
Maybe that's also the reason that, I am not good enough in my conversations. So I would really like to have such platforms wherein I can communicate and develop my communication skills. So I recently came to know about Aspire for Her, and this is a very best platform. I would like to connect with more women like you. So
AFH does a lot of such events. You should actually participate as many as possible. Can I suggest a couple of things? Most cities have networking groups of women now, because there are winds of change towards gender diversity, and women want to help each other. And there are lots of networking groups, sometimes not just cities. Try and find either networking groups within, in your areas of interest or your functional skills, your domain skills. Join them, vet them. Do you really like those groups? So do like a trial session, etc. Join as many groups as possible. And yeah, one thing that I can suggest is set up networking calls, talk to people. I'll give you my own example. I'm very I'm very active on LinkedIn, and when COVID happened, I, like a lot of people, even I was tired of being at home. So I started sending random DMs to people on LinkedIn. These were people who were either in the HR, L&D, or content space, because these are the three things that I do, right? There has to be something similar interest between those people and me. And I started sending out requests for coffee chats saying, this is what I do, this is what you do. It would be very interesting to, meet and see if we can find something of interest so we can work together. There was no agenda. It was a simple virtual coffee chat. And you'll be surprised, nearly 50% of the people said yes. In fact, a lot of women said yes. And I actually started having coffee chats. I would set it up exactly like this. We would talk, I would get to know that person. And I networked so hard. And now there are so many people I know, so small things like this, joining networking groups, coming to, not just AFH, there are a whole lot of others also, going up to events, raising your hand and speaking. Within your city, finding networking groups that you can meet, finding groups that help you level up. So Toastmasters, for example, find if there's Toastmasters in your, Toastmasters is a platform where you can go and speak, right? They have these meetings where people speak. It is basically for your speaking skills. It's as simple as that. Find something similar, so talk to people, speak, find opportunities to speak, and you will see it get better. Record yourself, ask yourself why. See, sounding confident is not a bad thing at all. Sounding overconfident may be a bad thing, but sounding confident is not a bad thing at all. So you need to figure out what, ask people, take an honest feedback from people. I would do that. Take an honest feedback from people. If people are criticizing you, first of all, ask them, what is it that you don't like? Turn it into a learning session. Why do you think I speak very high? Sometimes you might be surprised that it could be in your head. It could just be you feel this way, right? Take feedback from people, listen to yourself, ask yourself, where do you think you're going wrong? Try and work on that. Consciously, when you're speaking to people, consciously try and change. I used to speak very fast, when I was a child, and otherwise also, I used to speak very fast. But now in my profession, I can't. So now I've deliberately slowed myself down, and this is how I speak with a lot of emphasis. You can change, provided you're very mindful and provided you just practice. And like I said, record yourself. Start a podcast. Start a podcast on your city. Just record yourself on the phone. Do one episode every week, fun episode every week, and just listen back to yourself and see where you can improve. Yeah.
Sure, ma'am. I'll try to do that.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Vandana has a question.
One day I sat for an interview. He asked me one question: why you want to do this job? Like your previous experience is in construction. Now this is the IT one. Why you want to join this? I just simply answered him like, in my previous job, I used to communicate with the clients. I had several meetings there, and here I find something similar. Here I have to coordinate with the clients, vendor, something. And he said, wow, it's very funny. Then that situation, my whole confidence went down. How to manage this situation?
Ask him why he thought it was funny. Like I said, it's not an interrogation. If somebody says something, you have a right to ask also. Why are we so scared of interviews? I want all of you to ask yourself, why are you so scared of interviews? It's the first question we need to answer. It's the mindset change. It's an interview. They're not going to kill you. They're not, how does it, so if the person says that's very funny, so you should say, I would love to know what the joke is. It's as simple as that,
I love to know what the joke is.
Joke is, yeah, what is the joke? So if the person
in every answer he said, what, it is funny, it's funny, it's fun.
Funny.
Oh,
So
it
just
is
say,
so
I would
much
love
fun.
to know why. So just say, I would love to know why it is funny, because in my view, it's a perfect match, and then give a solid reason why you think. I think it was a good answer. You feel that the role per se is the same. You have to network.
The role was same.
You have to connect with people. Now, sometimes what happens is the industry could be different. So sometimes, for example, if you're in sales in banking, it's a slightly different job from sales in, let's say, FMCG, because your clients are very different. Your product is very different. Your network is very different. In banking, the network that you will create to sell FDs is going to be very different from the network that you will create to build, a distribution system for FMCG product, right? So you need to understand then that maybe then maybe because the industry was very different, maybe the person felt that, so when you answer a question, look at all the possible loopholes, so in case, so for example, from construction to IT, right? Find the best possible answer, right? So of course it is the same, the role is absolutely the same, but can you also give a more convincing answer, because in his head possibly then it was, but the industries are so different, the clients are so different, you don't have a database of the clients, right? So ask yourself where you could have possibly gone wrong. So when you give an answer,
I did this all the things. I found the person in the LinkedIn also. I came to know that the person is from the contracting background. His relation is nothing with the role. He is a contracting person. And I worked in a contracting firm only. I had those skills and I prepared my answers according to that only, because I was pretty sure that he will ask me related to the contracting job questions. So I prepared according to that, but every answer he said, wow, it's so fun. And at the end, he didn't ask me about what's the salary expectation, and he ended the interview.
Some people sometimes, you also have to, some people, 10% of the times are also people who are not worth this thing. But I would still say, Vandana, I want you to go back and ask yourself whether your answers were convincing enough. Yeah. And whether you walked in confidently, you looked like someone who could change industries. And, see, also when you're changing industries, you have to have a solid reason and a solid backup on why somebody should hire you. You know, what are you bringing to the table that this person should hire you versus somebody who's been in the industry, right? So bring a solid reason how and why you will be able to manage this role, right? So just by saying that, it's the same, the job is the same, you need to give a slightly more confident answer and slightly more logical, supported with more logical, reason on why you think you could handle it. That is one thing that I would suggest to you, right? The other thing is sometimes some people have just made up their mind, so you really cannot do anything about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought like that. He made up his
Yeah.
mind
Yeah.
because he didn't give me any chance to speak more
Hmm.
on every question.
Yeah, made up their minds. You
Yeah.
can still change that, like I said, by either asking a question or something. There was this one girl in a session like this. She had once said, and I found that very interesting. She had asked the interviewers that, is there something in particular that you're looking for? So she told me that she takes checks and balances she does during the interview, which I thought is an interesting thing to do if you have the confidence for that as well. So you ask that, is this what you're looking for? Because this is who I am, right?
Yeah.
Is there any particular skill that you think you would be requiring for this role? It's perfectly fair to ask that, right? Because it only helps you add up your, skills. So there's never any harm in asking how you think the interview is going. For you also, it's a learning.
Yeah.
Every interview is also a learning, right?
Yes.
Have that confidence to also ask, is there anything particular that you're looking for this particular role? So have that confidence to also ask these questions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay.
one,
Okay.
one more thing I just want to I just मुझे feedback चाहिए जैसे मैं बोल रही हूँ how it feels like listening.
You could make it crisper. I'll give you very honest feedback. Slightly crisper. You could also speak more confidently. Huh? And the
Yeah.
one thing that will help is मैं आप सबको एक tip देती हूँ आज, which again, those who follow me would know this is one of my usual tips. Your voice should come, you should imagine it coming from your stomach. हमारी आवाज ना ऐसे ऊपर ऊपर से, if you're going to talk like this, आपकी आवाज ऊपर गले से निकलती है. लेकिन मेरा एक थिएटर टीचर था, बैरी जॉन, बहुत पॉपुलर है बॉम्बे में. शाहरुख खान से लेके सब कहते हैं कि बैरी जॉन हैज ट्रेन्ड मी. Barry used to tell us that your voice should come from your stomach. मतलब आपकी आवाज ऐसे लगना चाहिए कि स्टमक से आ रही है. आपकी आवाज बहुत पावरफुल आएगी. चिल्लाओ मत. His always thing was that you shouldn't shout. But if you listen to me, you will feel that my voice is coming, from my stomach. It's far more deeper and powerful. Learn to modulate your voice. This is why I mentioned voice, because
Yeah.
voice depicts our confidence.
Yes.
So learn to work on, your voice, so that your voice feels like it's coming from your stomach. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I hope
Thank
this-
you, ma'am.
You're welcome. Who else?
Deepika, this is Durga.
Yes, Durga.
Unfortunately, my camera is not working from the morning.
No
Okay.
problem.
So similar incident I also had faced like Vandana, but it's a different. I attended a returnship program. They have two technical rounds. First round I cleared, but what the major that is they were looking for the Java. I'm not from Java background. Anyways, I can code in multiple language. I have proven my skills in the first round. During my second round, the guy came and he asked me first question in Java. I said I don't know. I don't know. But immediately what that guy did, I'm canceling this interview now. I am dropping this call. फटाफट तो कर दिया. So I felt it was hurting for me. I wrote an email to their HR and the top of the diversity program, whoever conducts this, the HR had everyone. Then they called back me. They asked whatever happened from our side. Sorry, ma'am. They said everything. After 1 week, they did not turn up me. Then again I asked me, it's my rights to ask the interview, second round, whether I will get get in or get out, whatever may be happen, I should give the interview. Then they said we will discuss with the panel and come back you. Then I agreed. After 2 weeks follow, they came up with another guy. Initially, they sent the invitation letter with a name. I checked the guy, the person name in the LinkedIn. What are their what are their skill set? If it is matches with me, it should not happen like last time. So I checked everything. Fadafat na next morning, before 1 hour of interview, they changed the person. Okay, this time they bring a person who is having 28 years of experience in IT industry, who is well versed in all the domains, what and all I mentioned in my resume. He came. He shoot up the questions. I'm not able to answer more than, if he shoots 10 means, I'm not able to answer more than 4. I said, for each and everything, I never step back, whatever I know, I said that honestly. Then I said, I can't able to remember right now. So shall we go to the next question? I turned like this. Then finally I asked him, sir, what is the feedback? You tell me. He said, some blah, blah feedback. I thought I won't go to the third round. They have the third round also, hiring manager round. Then I forgot that. Then 1 week later, they came back with the hiring manager round. This time, this lady didn't ask anything. She knows whatever happened so far. Straight away, she came, what is your ultimate goal? What is your ultimate goal? I have a good number of experience in IT industry, but I did not have a experience in coding side. I did a PM role. So what you are looking? She talked with very nicely and she clarified everything. So you told us we have to check the person's details in the LinkedIn, but suddenly they change us when what we can do.
See, sometimes, in certain roles, it is your functional skills that are the most important. In IT particularly, I have seen this. In sales, for example, it's, if you understand sales and you understand how to crack sales, and if you're at entry-level jobs, if you change industries, it doesn't really matter, because ultimately you have to build relationships and sell a product. At very senior levels, at mid-management, yes, because you now formed a network, people will hire you for that network that you've made, right? I'm just trying to give you the example, the difference between several roles, right? So in mid-management, it becomes even more difficult, even for a salesperson, to change their industry. You can, but mostly people hire you for the network that you've built, the distribution system that you've built. In IT, sometimes, and I've noticed this, it is sometimes, not even Java versus something else. It becomes really, especially now with so much being developed, do you know this or do you not know this? So sometimes it really depends upon your domain and the functional expertise that you have. And that is the truth, right? And
one thing, intentionally, I did not apply for that internship. Their HR team took from their LinkedIn and they followed me. Initially,
that I would not give too much credit to that, because that is just a database, as in they have a database. They don't really know exactly what you've done, what you've not done, right? So the first level will always be very, very broad and wide. They will reach out. If they have to hire X number of people, they will reach out to 10X, because they don't know. Kisi ko aana hai, they want to join, they don't want to join, there's something else happening. So 10X, they will reach out depending upon a very broad match, very broad match. They will never find on LinkedIn, at least, a very narrow match, right? So they will reach out to a broad match. And then after that, they will start talking to people. And sometimes in their heads, they will be very clear on what they want. They want someone who knows Java. If you're not fitting that, then obviously, maybe they feel that, okay, right now we don't want to take up someone who may not, because they will have to train you and you don't even know the language. So you don't know.
Yes.
So that could be one of the reasons. So what happened was, I'll tell you what happened. They were very clear. They wanted someone with Java. I think the way the person ended the interview is where it went wrong. That person should have explained to you and given you a direction on why, this is not going to happen. And this is something that organizations need to train people also on, because all the training is for people who are, giving the interviews, no training on people who are taking interviews. This person should have clearly said that this is our top requirement for this particular program. And unfortunately, if you don't know Java, then we cannot consider you. It would have been a happier way to sort of end things.
Anyway,
because-
it should be end with happily both the sides.
Yes, but sometimes it doesn't happen. So sometimes you just have to, and because then you followed up and said that, so they kept trying to arrange, they kept trying to, but they were very clear that they wanted someone. So from my takeaway would be that they wanted someone with Java. Unfortunately, one person messed up by, not treating the interview very well and not ending it and not explaining to you what, you were looking for, what they were looking for, which I think, organizations also need to sensitize people who are taking interviews that, you have to tell people why they are not making it.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. So I think that's what happened. I would not take it as a, this thing. I just feel that they had a requirement.
No,
You
no.
don't-
My concern is why I wrote everything means it should not happen with someone tomorrow.
No, that's okay, but
Hmm.
it possibly will happen. But I'm glad you took a stand. I'm glad you took a stand and you said that, this should not happen and people should be more sensitized when they're sensitive when
Yes.
they're taking interviews. Absolutely. That's a good thing to do.
But we cannot judge with a single question to anyone.
But if it is
No,
a,
for my case, I don't know the Java, I can accept it. Even though some
Ah.
people knows the Java, they cannot answer the first question.
Yes.
Means he could not end the meeting.
Yes, but I think what happened was in your case, this was a guy who was going to run the project and his clear instruction to HR would have been, see also what happens is you have to understand from their perspective. His clear instruction would be, I need people who know Java. And then he would have been very tired that, I set up my time for interviews. I'm trying to think from the other person's perspective. I set aside time for interviews and here's a person who doesn't even know what my top requirement is, right?
Correct.
So.
Correct, it's okay. I'm not worrying about, but immediately someone dropping the call means it hurts a lot. But actually, my career break is 3.5 years. That guy who came for interviewer experience is 3.5 years. It hurt me a lot.
That's that's life. Yeah. So
Chalo, okay. Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
We were in
You're welcome.
another session. Just we come here for 1 hour. Thank you for your
thank you so much. Thank you so much.
beautiful session.
One question.
To stop this call.
Sorry for
Thank
interrupting. Deepika, usually I always feel that I am not much connected with the people. I don't mind talking to any people. When I was living in US, I was talking to even BP. I used to join with her for meals and all those things. But after coming here, I became so lonely that I don't have network here. So how do I improve my network and how do I improve my quality of expressing myself? Because I have a lot of things in my brain, but the expression will not be that great. Like the way I express is not up to the mark, or like it's not effective, I can say. How do I improve that?
Again, I would say that, you will have to work on this. You'll just have to be mindful of what you need to change. Networking, I'm really not going to get into it right now. I think you need a completely separate session on networking. And I'm sure AFH is going to be doing a networking session. But just try and connect with people in your area. Just join WhatsApp groups or just join business groups or just join. Sometimes I feel even on LinkedIn, refine your search on LinkedIn to look for people in your industry, in your area. Don't look for just general people. So refine your search to look for people in your area, connect with people, connect with local businesses. When I went to Kolkata, I connected with people just randomly, I'm interested in reading. So I had gone for a book club reading and there I met everybody, took down their phone numbers. It was a PG Woodhouse reading. And, so find people, interests, see events in newspapers. That's how I did it. Digital events, virtual events. I keep a tab of digital events on Facebook and on LinkedIn. And I feel if this is of interest to me, I will go there. And then I will start meeting with people. I will see who all are there, etc. So there are a lot of mixers that happen in every city that you will have to make a little bit of an effort to, get to know people within your city. And then, strike up conversations, deepen that, relationship. So that's how you will network. As far as expressions is concerned, not all of us can have all expressions and be very dramatic. Ultimately, we also have to be authentic to who we are, how we speak, right? but you can still keep getting better over time. Wherever you feel there is a little bit of a gap, study yourself, look at yourself in the mirror, or record yourself. Or sessions like these are a great way to learn. The minute you put on your video, immediately you can see how you speak, right? Where are you looking? How are you speaking? And that can immediately teach you a lot. My answer to a lot of this, when we went into COVID, I used to, up till that point, there were only physical sessions, offline sessions. No one used to do online sessions. COVID, mein online sessions started, and a lot of my clients came and told me we have to do online sessions. I did not know. I did not know how to talk to people I couldn't see. I draw energy from a room of people. What do? I started going live on Instagram. I said, time to वैसे ही बहुत है COVID में. I actually started going live on Instagram every day. If you go to my Instagram 2020, there's actually a weekly schedule. Today, I will talk about self-belief. Today, I will talk about confidence. I had these topics. I would release them on a Sunday. And every day at 5 o'clock, I would go live. For me, it was practice. So it was practice to speak to a screen. I did that for a month. Relentlessly, I did that for a month till I got better. And I realized that now I can do online sessions with the same energy that I could do offline sessions. Trust me, ladies, it is very difficult to talk to a screen where you cannot see anyone and everybody's video, except for 3 people, is shut. It requires a lot of energy and a lot of self-confidence to be able to do that. And I do that. Now every client wants to do hybrid. I can see a lot of videos coming up. Thank you so much. A lot of clients now do hybrid, So we continue to do virtual sessions. But I feel that 1 month of, just figuring out that by going live on LinkedIn, can I improve? I actually improved. I could only see my face when I go live. When you go live on LinkedIn, you can only see your face. And that, just that taught me so much because I was talking to myself. I could see my expressions. So there are still some sessions on Instagram saved somewhere. You will see I'm talking very softly, very nicely. And I realized it's not going to work in a workshop. So I had to learn. I had to learn to how, show energy in an online session as well. So you will find your way. But if you really sincerely think you want to improve, I would suggest doing a Zoom call with yourself. Have any of you tried that? I have done that. I have done that. Do a Zoom call. Randomly send somebody this thing, or you can send it to you can just start a meeting, right? Look at yourself, talk to yourself. You will know how to improve. It's my biggest tip to you, for any kind of virtual interview sessions, whatever you want to improve, the way your camera, how you look, your light, how you sit, your confidence, how you're speaking, just do a Zoom call with yourself. That's it. My Instagram live sessions taught me a lot. They really taught me a lot. Do a Zoom call and you will see the improvement every day. So study your voice, study your expression, study how you're talking, how much energy you have, and you'll improve. With that, I think I will not take any more questions, Hiral. Is that okay?
Thank you, Deepika. Thanks a lot.
Yes,
You're
ma'am.
welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm sure all the women found this very, very beneficial, and it will help you gain your confidence. And please do apply for the job fair, and we look forward to seeing you there.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much. Pleasure. Bye-bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Have a
Thank
great
you.
week. Bye-bye.
Thank you, ma'am. Bye.